Hey traders, welcome back to Quad S Trading, and we are live. Let me just remove all these bookmarks to make my screen a little bit bigger here. There you go. So today we're going to go over the trades of last week. So last week, unfortunately, was another red week. It was red by roughly just over 2%. Now, some of these trades we would not have taken, but systematically to trade exactly as my indicators tell us to. I just put all the trades in there, but a few of them were discretionary trades where I said in Discord, hey, you know what? Don't take this trade because it's an all-day grinder. If you are going to take it, just do half a position. But anyways, let's get into it. So we trade small caps. We exclusively short sell. I build two indicators that pretty much tell you when to get in, when to get out. So this can be traded very systematically in the elite traders. And then you'll have to get the subscription for our indicators, which, like I said, they tells you when to get in, when to get out if you want a service signal style of trading. Or if you want to join our mastermind, that's where you do live trading with Sean, where we actually teach you how to trade stocks. So let's have a look at our LYB. So this stock here pumped from the day before, roughly 68%, which is not a whole lot, but it's just enough to do what we call a DV strategy. So you have the red circle, the orange circle, green. Once you see this green circle, this is when you look at your shares and you're ready to short when the next candle closes below the VWAP based on our rules. Now this here is not an entry. I know it closed below the VWAP. This is just not a volume. We want to see enough volume, that way the stock price cannot be manipulated. So at this candle right here, our minimum is 100,000. This is the entry on the candle. So it will tell you to short 555 shorts, 555 shares at 1352. Now this label here will all be determined in the settings. You set your account size with your trade size. So for example, if your trade size is only 5,000, it would give you just the 55 shares. Okay, so everything is systematic. It's just short the amount of shares based on your account, based on your trade size, and everything gets done automatically. So what happens is once this green circle happens here, you just set an alert. You go like this, alert on the DV. When it does any alert signal, boom, you create this alert. So what this is going to do is going to create an alert for either a DV or an EXT. And in this case here, it did the DV. My alert went off when it was the candle was forming underneath below here. I set up my trade, and as soon as it closes, I enter. So technically, your entry is on the open of the following candle because this candle has to close to confirm that it is closing below the VWAP. Once it's closed, you take your position. Unfortunately, this one here went sideways all afternoon. You do the pre-market and the open the next day, and we closed at a slightly higher price and a small loss of $291. CNSP, let's have a look at this one here. So this here was what we call a VW1 because the label is green. Now don't worry about all these labels overlapping here. When we do a replay, it is a lot cleaner because these are the kind of trades that you get in and you forget about it. So this one here popped $365. Sorry, 365%. I'm pretty sure this is one of them that Ross and Moon Market they pumped also in this one here. That's why it went crazy high on dilution news. So usually when you have dilution news, like it pumps a little bit and it comes back down, but this one here pumped quite a bit and went sideways and then it tanked. So let's do a replay here to show you what it would look like live. Okay. So let's turn this down like this. So here we are, it's pumping and you're just waiting for something. Like in this area here, this is where I would set my alerts for my DV and my EXT. Just that way, I can just go back to work, do my thing, and then when the alert goes off, this is when you take the trade. But for this one here, because it's a VW1, it would have been in our VW scanner. And the stocks that popped in the scanner for the VW, I also set my dot color change. So when this candle here populated, like it crossed below, bing, 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 I get an alert on my phone. I see that, hey, you know what? I'm going to short 568 shares at 879 on the close of this candle. So as soon as this candle closes, boom, there's my entry right here. My stop loss is 1163, and I forget about the stock. I don't need to worry about it. I don't look at it. That's why all these other labels, they don't bother me because, well, guess what? I don't look at the chart afterwards. Once I'm in my trade, I just go back to work, right? And we cover at the end of the day. And also in our indicator here, whoops, you can turn off the label. So once you enter the trade, just turn off the label. It just prevents me from pulling out my calculator, calculating the shares, flipping to the other app or trading view, back to the trade the pool or trade zero. It just makes my life just so much easier knowing exactly how many shares that I'm going to short. And same thing with this indicator here. It gives you the trade size based on your account size, and it calculates everything for you, which is really, really cool. And then once you're in the trade, like I said, you just let it do its thing and you let it fade end of the day. So we cover at the end of the day. People with PDT rule, which is not going to be an issue very shortly, you can cover the next day, or you can start scaling out at 7:30ish, and you would have gone out in the roughly 7:56 for a nice win of $698. Then we have CLNN. This here, it tanked quite a bit, but historically, the end of the day is the best return. So even though this one here came down and it pumped back up and then came back down like this, you'll see that historically the reason why we like to hold at the end of the day is because of another stock that we did today. Anyways, a few of them you'll see that they just tank at the end of the day. So let's do a replay here on this candle right here like this. Okay, so this is pop. Here we go. Next candle, you just wait. So once it's like up here on our VW scanner and on our 40 pump scanner in our Discord, which would look like this. Let's have a quick look here. Right, so a scanner. So as soon as it pops on a scanner here, I set my alert. And when it goes in the VW scanner, that's also when I pop my alerts for there. That way, I just set my alerts, go back to work, and I just wait for the alert to go off. So fast forward, oh, want to count too many, but anyways, this is the one that closed with the VWAP, and let's zoom in. So it's that green circle, boom, 593 shares at 842. That's when you short, and you cover at the end of the day. You just set your stop loss, and you cover at the end of the day. So this was here's a nice little win of $361. Then we have SOBR. So this is actually on the 7th, Thursday. There was no trade on this one here, and I'll explain to you why. And then there's a trade on this one here. So a VW2, essentially it's a stock with dilution. So this will pop in your 40 all scanner and it will pop in your VW scanner. The reason why it's a VW2 is because there's activity the day before. No, there's some action the day before, or even a couple of days before. When I see action here, it's not a VW1. A VW1 to be like a perfect VW1 is there needs to be no activity whatsoever the day before, a couple days prior, nothing. And next you know, it pops off news. Boom, 40, 50, 60, 100%, and then it comes back down, crosses VWAP. It has dilution, and that's your VW1. A VW2, you just want to be a little more patient, so you don't take it on the first cross below the VWAP or the first tank. You want to see a second pump. So the way that I took this trade here is it came up, it came down right here. That is what I classified as a first pump. Some traders would not see this as first pump, but because there was dilution and it's SOBR, we've traded this one many times for wins. I took a shot at it. It came back up, closed with a VWAP on this candle right here. This is my entry at 127 for 3,937 shares. And then it came down. You're looking happy, and then unfortunately it pops back up and it closes fairly high here at 153 for a loss of $1,023. Now, if you were to go a couple days prior, if you look here, I want to see a second pump. I don't see one, right? It comes one pump here, closed below, but I don't really see a second pump. So, so it wasn't an entry for me as a VW2. So I just let that one slide. So eventually, this thing will come back down. It's just a matter of time, right? Because if you look at the 4-hour chart, it is only on a downtrend, right? So this, you give it a couple days and it'll start coming down, and then it'll probably do a slow grind all the way down to this current monthly pivot, and it's going to end up going a little bit lower. However, we don't like holding trades for more than a day. All right, next is ERNA. Now this one here, same story. Like I said, our patterns are they're all similar. pops 80%. You know, you see the red, the orange. I set my alerts for my EXT and my DV because this had no dilution, so I did not do a VW. I see that green circle over here. I enter on the close of the VWAP. That's my entry, 832 shares at 601, and we covered the following day around 10:30, and that is at 7:11 for a loss of $791. The stock kept rising a little bit, and this is off no volume, right? So when you have no volume, it's the stock can be very easy manipulated. But same thing here, it's coming up, and it seems like it's going to be doing its downtrend. If you look at this one here on the 4-hour, it's nothing but downhill, right? So it's a matter of time before it keeps going down. Then we have PMAX. So this is the one that I told in the chat that I am not taking because it is on an all-day grinder, right? It's just a slow grind all day. And then over here, boom, this is our entry. I told everybody in Discord, don't do it. I took a half entry myself just because there wasn't many trades that day. So I just did it, and I got stopped out. Nonetheless, mentioned in Discord, no trade over here. And usually when I see something like this, I will delete the signal or the alert that would signal a trade. If I don't like it, you guys won't trade it. So right here like this, not a trade on this one here. Nonetheless, this was a loss of 1,462 if you did a full position. In my spreadsheet, I keep track of all the trades without discretion on the actual strategy. If there is a label, I will put it into the spreadsheet. That way you know exactly what we trade and what are the returns of our trades based if you were to do every single trade of our strategy. And of course, a couple days later, it's tanking. And usually that's how it goes. Same story. You'll see. This is why we don't long stocks. They will always go on a downtrend all the time. Pump, dilute, pump, dilute, pump, dilute, pump, dilute. And it's what these stocks do. And to confirm that, reverse split. So when the stocks go under $1, usually it's like in the 30-cent range. They'll do a 1 to 10 reverse split. And then they will, the stock will go back to $2-3, and they will do the same process all over again. ATRA, this one also was a little bit of an interesting one. So it did a VW1. Like I said, all these little indicators here, like these labels, you don't need to worry about them. It looks messy, but once you're in a trade, you don't worry about them. So let's do a replay right here. This stock here had dilution. It was in our VW indicator or scanner. It popped 74%. Green label, you'll see it on this candle right here. It's hidden behind that label. But anyways, it's there. If I were to take this label off, let's have a look here. Turn demo mode on. Boom, there it is. See, there it is. It's green. That means enter on this candle here. How many shares? 631 at 792. Let's cancel this replay. And this white line is the stop loss that is based on the indicator. It tells you when to stop out. Unfortunately, sometimes it happens where it halts right before your stop, and you're like, ah, crap. And then you get out at a slightly worse price. So we got stopped out over here. Then it did the DV strategy, because if you look over here, I see a red, orange, green. So when this candle closed here, I would have gotten an alert on my phone, and that's when I entered 586 shares at 853. And by the way, some people got in up in this area here, and I'll show you why. And then we covered the following day at 909 for a small loss of 328. So if you go to the 4-hour chart, let's have a quick look here. Right, so we have, let me just remove this double pivot here. For those who don't know, if you have an indicator that you don't want to see in different times or chart, like hours, days, weeks, you just remove them like this. Right, so here we are. Right, so sometimes we identify lows, previous highs, and if it hits near a low like this and it tanks, you do an entry. So that's what we teach in the mastermind. We teach you how to short stocks, like quote unquote properly, not based on signals. So this is more of a, you take more trades this way. And essentially, people have gotten up right in this area here, $12. If I zoom in, right, it halted. Here's red, rejection right here. Some people entered here. A few of our traders entered here. and then they top, right? And when you enter on the way up, you always do a smaller position. You don't go all in. These strategies here, it's more of an all-in thing, I think, because it's a pattern that it historically is a 70 to 80% win rate. So I go like when I say all in, it's like a 10% account size. This year you can start off at like 2, 3, 4%, average up if you have to, but then you go here and then you average up the rest of your position here as a DV and you cover at 909. So they would have been a break-even trade on the ones that took the trade earlier. Same with our LIB. Like if you were to look at this here, this is what we teach in the mastermind, right? What's the high of this candle right here? Let's do this here. Was it 1543, 1545? So if you go on the 5-hour chart, 5-minute chart, people took positions up in this area here. As soon as it hit that previous high and it came back down, take an entry here, right? And then you would have averaged down as a DV, like top up your position. So this year you could take in, let's say, 5% of your account, 2.5% of your account, and here you've done the what are remaining of the 10%. So depending on how many you put here, you do the remainders here, and you would have broken even on this trade here. Then we have TRA. So this one here, let's have a look on this. I actually was not able to take this trade because for some reason, I got an email Friday morning from Trade the Pool saying that my account was terminated, my funded account. And when I asked in their Discord what was going on, they're like, "Oh no, it shouldn't be closed. So just open a support ticket." And I opened a support ticket, and this morning my account was live again, which is thankfully because we had a huge DV trade, which I will show you right now because it was just such a great trade. So here we have a VW1 on TRA right here. So you entered at 202. Sorry, 227 for 2,202 shares, and then you cover at the end of the day. And this one here, I actually didn't mark it, but let's have a look here. If I look here, it would have been a win of $528. This here would have been a win. Oops, let's go like this. A win of $528, like this. I said I trade log every single trade. If you have any questions in regards to any of our trades, just go to Discord, hit me up, and then I'll message you there. But essentially, all trades you see, they're all in here, right? They're all there. CLRB, is that the one I'm missing? That's the one I'm missing. I knew I was missing one because I had 2 SOBRs. Trading view. This is one that I wanted to show you guys that I knew I was missing. CLRB. Go to the 5-minute chart, and this is why we trade at the end of the day, right? So let's just put some stuff up here, demo mode, so you can see the dots and the labels. All right. So this is a VW1. This is why historically I love holding at the end of the day because you want these all-day faders. And I'll keep saying this, historically, end of the day is the best return or the following day at 4 a.m. So, and when I say 4 a.m., you put an alert, you wake up at 4 a.m. and you get out because you don't want that thing to pump on you when you're sleeping. So replay this like this. Right, this is what 150% candle comes up, green label on a VW1 because it's green, and this popped in our VW scanner, 869 shares at 575, and you just let it fade all day. I set my stop loss, and I literally just look at it on my break. I'm like, yep, it's looking good. Oh, look, it's looking real good. It's going sideways, breaks the MA 200, SMA 200, and it just tanks at the end of the day. And this one here was a huge win. If I look at the measuring tool, what is this, 575 roughly down to here, it's a 48% win. Huge win, right? So like I said, if you guys like what you see, we build our strategies based on the indicators if you're an elite trader and you have the subscription to our indicators. Or if you go with the mastermind, that's where we do teach you how to short sell properly using pivots, resistance, and even, for example, this one here, right? This is where we teach, look, this high here is 720. This high here is 728. It's like 728, 720, right? So you don't go obviously at the top. We go a little bit lower, and some people got in right at the top, right? If you would have gotten in right at the top here, maybe not necessarily this candle here because it was very quick, but up in this area here, Awesome trade, right? You hit a top previous high, and that's what we teach in our mastermind. And that would have been a 57% win. And then the last one I want to show you today was Onco. Oh, no, not Onco. Click. Right? Click popped in our Discord, and we can ignore the labels because it was not a VW trade. It was not in our VW scanner, so we don't do the VW trade, and we can even remove all the dots here. We don't need to see those. It's not a VW trade. So let's have a look. Red, orange, green. Green is hidden behind that label, but it is there. John was like, oh, where is it? There it is, right? So just hidden behind the label. You enter on the close, and it tells you how many to short, at what price. Boom, and look at where it went. All the way down there. What a beautiful trade. Now this one here, I will be holding it. I am actually holding it right now, and I'll be covering it tomorrow, right in between 10 and 10:30. Because historically that is the best return for an EXD and a DV trade. And because I trade on Trade the Pool, I don't need to worry about overnight fees, which is nice. So when this thing came down like this, I actually did cover it right here because this is a nice big candle. I didn't want it to come back up like Walk did. Look at today. Walk was insane today. I didn't trade this one at all, but it tanked hard. And then from the lowest point to the highest point is roughly 3,000%. This is crazy. I don't think I've ever seen something like this in a long time. So that's why I set my like a stop loss once it starts tanking like this. I'm like, you know what? I'm such a big win that I don't want to blow it. I'm happy getting out at, $300, $400, whatever the amount is. I'm happy with it. Perfect. But with Click, right? We usually use the EMA 9 as like the trend line. So it comes down like this, it bounces up. I have my stop loss at 28, which is right up in this area right here. And look, it's above the EMA 9, so it's trending. I took my profit here. And then when I saw that it was actually coming down like this, I took a position here, assuming that it was trending, it's going to trend down, but with a very tight stop. So I lost very, very small, and I'll show you. And then it comes back, and then I re-entered at 224 after the 350. So with Trade the Pool, because I'm using a day trading account, it closes my positions automatically at 350, no matter what. So you have to re-enter. So I re-entered at 350 because that's what the strategy is. And then I'm still holding it down here for a nice win. So that's all the trades for last week, and Click was today. Now, if you were to look at my Trade the Pool account, it's doing really good. Here is a little bit of a job down. It comes back up. This here is when I was playing AKN. I shorted more than what my indicators tell me to off of what I thought would have been a good trade, but definitely not a good trade. And I also picked the wrong stock to do because it's a cannabis stock. Anyways, I lost more than I wanted to with that one there. I kind of overtraded it, but it comes back down. But my account will be back up once I start following the strategy again. Sometimes you just don't get a lot of trades and you just force some trades that you shouldn't. But you just gotta stay in there and just trade what the indicators tell you to do. So as you can tell, Click is right here, which is nice. And then Link, I tried something with Link, didn't really work out, and that did close me out at 350, and it did tank afterwards. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna worry about it. These are the two trades that I played with the EMA 9 after I closed out at 228, and they're both very small, and I'm still back into this trade here. So these two losses will get evened out with this tomorrow morning anyways. And then, PMAX was my half order right here. ERNA, we have SOBR, ATRA, Click was a nice win today. So anyways, so all the trades are logged here, so I don't mind showing anybody my Trade the Pool account. Now this win rate is very low, just because a lot of stocks, what happen is they'll pump, they'll either go sideways. I get a small loss because it closes me out 350, and then it tanks after hours and into the pre-market the following day for a win that will cover my loss, being covering my position at 350 for bigger profits. So I wouldn't worry about this here because if you look at a profit factor, 1.31, which is good. But let's have a look at some stuff here. Yeah, I did do. So anyways, so that's my Trade the Pool account. Hopefully, once I get funded, I will do a 50K. And with the 50K, I am going to strictly follow my indicators. And it's something that I should do right now anyways. But in our Discord, let's have a quick look here. We do have some alert Discord now, which is pretty much the alerts that I'm trading. So for example, today, click, it said, get in at, so these two here are actually some test alerts that I was trying out. So we can ignore this one and ignore this one because this is the, I think that's the real alert. Let's have a look. Click. When did it say here? Yeah, 4:45. Right, so 4:45. And then if you look at the stop loss, if I were to do a replay like this right here, it should tell me where the stop loss is, right, at 565. So in my Discord, it gives you your entry and it gives you the what your stop loss is. So this is great for if you're trading on the go. Don't mind this Bitcoin one. This is for me testing the alert system at night. That way I can have some live trading because obviously the stock market is closed. And also one thing that we're going to incorporate is some alerts. So when a stock triggers in the in our trade alert, if it's, for example, cash positive, it'll tell you. It'll say, hey, click is cash flow positive. It's Chinese stock. Institutional ownership is too high. And we do have, oh, and if it's a cannabis industry, it will tell us, which should be very nice because that way you know all the information you need as soon as possible. And that's what this is all about. It's just one community where we short sell small caps and everything is built together. You want to know some dilution? It's all here. Market caps, float, institutional ownership, short interest, news, cash position, and like everything is in one spot, right? EVC, not a trade. There's no information on dilution overhead. Market cap is huge. It's cash flow positive. It's a big no-no. We wouldn't trade this one, right? APUS, it's got a lot of cash, 210 months. Market cap is not too bad, but no news on dilution. Unless it pumps really high, it hits a previous resistance and it's showing the downtrend, we don't touch these things. No cash positive, right? So our Discord is great and our scanners are great because it just tells you all the information in one spot. And our VW scanner, these are the best stocks to short. Look at that. Everything is green, dilution, no cash, pump, dump, and that's what we like to see. So anyways, if you like what we're trading, head over to Discord. You just go there. We actually have a 7-day trial on our elite traders. So you get the elite traders and all of our scanners, and you also get the alerts. Now, the other thing you do not have is the indicators. You have to pay extra for that subscription. That way you have those charts, those indicators on your chart, but you will get the alerts with it, which is great. It just tells you when to get in, when to get out. The only problem is that if you look at your chart, you will have no clue what you're looking at because the indicators are not there. Anyways, if you like what you see, head over to Discord and we'll see you there.